I'm Rachel Hernandez, real estate investor turned mobile home investor and best-selling author. I make a living investing in mobile homes for cash flow for long-term passive income. After many mistakes and lessons learned, I've been able to create the kind of life where I can do the types of things I want to do, not have to do. I created the Adventures in Mobile Homes podcast to share with you what I've learned so you can spend more time with family, friends, and do things you love. Mobile home investing can help you get there. If you want to hear real stories with practical and actionable advice you can use from someone who's been in the trenches and who's still investing today to create the type of life you love, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Well, hello there, and welcome to the Adventures in Mobile Homes podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Hernandez, aka Mobile Home Girl of AdventuresinMobileHomes.com. Thank you so much for joining me here on the 32nd episode of the podcast. Now, just in case you missed it, be sure to tune in to the last episode where I talk about how to close a deal with buyers or renters for your mobile home investing business, and how to coordinate doing your own paperwork with your new residents and the walkthrough inspection after they've signed the park's paperwork so you can finally collect your move-in fee, give them the keys, and officially close the deal. Also, I cover in that episode all of the items and what paperwork you need to get together before you meet with your new residents to do it all, as well as why you need to leave all of your marketing and advertising up during the process. As I've said before, until your applicants have signed all of the paperwork, handed you their move-in fee, and you've given them the keys, the deal isn't closed. This is the second episode in the series. You can find it along with the show notes at www.adventuresinmobilehomes.com/31. And that is the number 31. Okay, so let's get started. So last week, I talked about the process of closing the deal with your applicants after they've done and signed all of the park's paperwork to live there. Once they've done all of the park's paperwork, then you can make arrangements for your residents to sign your paperwork, do the walkthrough inspection, collect your move-in fee, and hand them the keys. And your deal will officially be closed and done. Again, you can do it all on the same day. Now, the applicants can sign the park's paperwork first, and then they can sign and do your paperwork. Or you can have them sign the park's paperwork and give any type of necessary deposit to the park. Then they can call you once they've done the park's paperwork, and you can schedule to do your own paperwork. Either way works, and I've done both. But today, I want to talk about a topic that I get so many questions about. And I thought it's time that I finally address it, since so many people are interested in hearing what I have to say about the topic. And that is the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank. Because if you're going to be selling homes on owner financing, as Lonnie Scruggs did, the godfather of mobile home investing, and my personal mentor, then this is definitely something you need to be aware of and have knowledge about. Because the last thing you want to do is not be in compliance with the law, which may have consequences in the future. But before we move on, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Hey there, Rachel here. Are you a mobile home investor wanting to sell your homes using owner financing? As Lonnie Scruggs, the godfather of mobile home investing, taught and did himself as a mobile home investor? Are you in it for the long haul, investing in mobile homes as a real estate investor? If you are, then there are two laws that you need to be aware of if you're doing business in the United States as a mobile home investor: the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank. Now, both of these laws came about as a result of the subprime mortgage crisis that happened between 2007 and 2010, which contributed to the global financial crisis that happened between 2007 to 2008. And these events eventually led to the Great Recession that happened between 2007 and 2009. So, before all of this, there weren't as many restrictions when it came to offering your homes on owner financing as a real estate investor. Though, as a result of both of these laws that were passed, the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank, as mobile home investors, we've had to change the way we do business and how we do business when going this route and offering up your homes using seller financing as a real estate investor. Now, over this past year, I've been working on a course specifically for mobile home investors on both of these laws, the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank. And in this course, I go over exactly what you need to know and what options you can take as a mobile home investor to be compliant with these laws. So, if you want more information about the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank, and you want to be the first to know when the course comes out, as there'll be a special early bird discount for the course when it first comes out, be sure to visit www.adventuresofmobilehomes.com/SafeActDodd-Frank. Again, www.adventuresofmobilehomes.com/SafeActDodd-Frank. Hope that helps should you go this route and have any questions about these laws as a mobile home investor. Now, back to the show. Okay, first things first. What exactly is a SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank? And why did they come about in the first place? Well, in order to answer these questions, we need to go back in history. Now, both of these acts were a result of the United States housing bubble, which led to the subprime mortgage crisis during 2007 to 2008. Now, during this time, from 2007 to 2009, we were in what is called the Great Recession, a period of general economic decline due to these events. Unfortunately, everyone was being approved for a loan before the crisis hit, despite if they could pay back the loan or not. Many lenders didn't do their own due diligence, approving subprime loans with higher commissions and fees, because they didn't care. They weren't holding the paper. they were selling it to someone else, which somehow eventually got packaged up as good loans when they weren't that good to begin with. Now, I'm not going to go into this story here on how exactly this happened in the first place. But if you are interested, as I do enjoy studying about history, especially when it comes to business, finance, and investing, you may want to check out the movie The Big Short, which I highly recommend. And I'll be sure to link it up here in the show notes if you're in the mood for a film about the subject. Now, getting back to it, due to these events and the United States being in a state of financial collapse because of all these subprime mortgages that were loaned out, the government stepped in and got involved. And first, creating the SAFE Act. So, what exactly is the SAFE Act? And what do you need to know about it as a mobile home investor? Well, the SAFE Act stands for the Secure and Fair Enforcement for Mortgage Licensing Act, which was created in 2008 by President G.W. Bush. Now, this act required states to implement a mortgage loan originator, or MLO for short, licensing and registration system. Though the federal government didn't give any guidelines on what laws states should implement based on this new licensing system and the laws and requirements to be licensed under the Act. They just told the states that they'd have to create a program to be licensed under the Act. So this resulted in the SAFE Act. But how does this apply to mobile home investors and selling your homes using owner financing? Well, every state is going to have their own licensing system with rules and regulations on what you need to do to get licensed, and when and why you need to get licensed in the first place when it comes to loan origination. And one of the things that falls under it is owner financing, and when you do your own deals in volume, meaning you're not just doing this one time as a homeowner. So, under state law, they're going to have their own version of the SAFE Act and what you can and can't do under the Act when selling the homes that you have on owner financing. So, if you do intend to go this route, then you're going to have to read the rules of your own state's SAFE Act to see what are the rules regarding getting licensed or needing to be licensed under the Act if you intend to sell your homes using owner financing. Now, when I talk about owner financing, I'm talking about your traditional mobile home deal, or Lonnie deal, as what others have called it, as Lonnie Scruggs taught, where you sell the home using owner financing to a buyer intending to live in the home who gives you a down payment and pays you monthly payments with interest. Now here, you transfer over the title to the buyer, just like closing with a bank, and the buyer owns the home. But you have a lien on the home should they default. This is your traditional Lonnie deal. and what I'm talking about. So, if you do things this way, or plan to do things this way, by selling your homes on owner financing and originating loans, then you'll have to look into the SAFE Act for your particular state. From there, you'll need to know what the laws are regarding getting licensed under the Act if this is something that you plan to do. Now, the other option is to work with someone already licensed to handle all of the paperwork for you. And usually, this person is called a licensed mortgage loan originator, or LMLO for short. Now, in this case, they do all of the documentation and paperwork for the financing portion of the deal. Hence the name Licensed Mortgage Loan Originator, or LMLO again for short, who then originates the loan while you just act as the lender, but not actually creating and underwriting the loan. Now, usually there's a fee associated with this per deal. And usually it's just a few $100s, which isn't much if you end up doing deals in volume. And I've seen many mobile home parks who once offered owner financing on their deals go this route. So instead of doing their own paperwork with the deals when using owner financing, they opt to work with an LMLO, a licensed mortgage loan originator, so they don't have to go through all of the licensing requirements of the Act. So that, in a nutshell, is the SAFE Act. Again, this is state-specific, so you'll have to do your own research into your own state's SAFE Act under the state regulatory agency in charge of licensing and enforcing the Act to see what you can and can't do when it comes to licensing under the SAFE Act. Now, this is just one part of it. What you, as a mobile home investor, need to know if you plan to offer owner financing for your deals. The next part is Dodd-Frank. So let's talk about that. What exactly is Dodd-Frank? And what do you, as a mobile home investor, need to know about it? Good question. Well, Dodd-Frank was passed after the SAFE Act by the federal government, and it's a federally regulated law. It's formally called the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. And it was introduced and created by U.S. House of Representative Congressman Barney Frank and United States Senator Chris Dodd. And it was enacted into law on July 21st, 2010, under President Barack Obama. Now, the law itself is meant to protect the consumer when it comes to financing and obtaining it for things such as housing. It's a very comprehensive act, which I won't get into it here. I'm only going to cover what relates to mobile home investing and offering your homes, if you choose to, for sale using owner financing. So, as a mobile home investor, the Act applies because under the Act, there are parameters that you have to follow when it comes to qualifying your buyers and documenting how you qualify your buyers in the first place. So it is on you to follow these guidelines and make sure that you're compliant with the law. You do have to go through a checklist depending on what type of loan that you're giving, which is detailed in the Act. So if you're going to go this route, you'll have to read the law in detail and make sure that you're doing everything that you have to do under the Act. This is a federal law which is regulated by the federal government. Now, if it sounds like a lot of work and a lot of research to do to actually learn both of these laws, the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank, then you always have the option of working with a licensed mortgage loan originator, or LMLO for short, to do the paperwork for you. And under their license, they're responsible for making sure that they are following the laws and guidelines to be compliant under the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank. And again, I'm seeing more and more mobile home parks work with LMLOs for their deals with buyers in their own parks, as it's a lot of paperwork and a lot to keep track with. Again, it's just a couple $100 per transaction if you do choose to work with an LMLO, which could save you time and money. So that's basically what the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank is, in a nutshell, and how it applies to mobile home investors if you plan to sell the homes that you have on owner financing to buyers who intend to live in them as a primary residence. So I hope this has helped you to get a better understanding of both acts and clear away some of the confusion. So there you have it. What the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank is and how it applies to you as a mobile home investor if you choose to sell the homes that you buy using owner financing. Again, this only applies when you're selling to an end buyer who intends to live in the home as their primary residence. Anything outside of that, such as investor-to-investor type transactions, raw land, and commercial property, are not included in these laws. And one thing I do want to make clear, as there's a lot of misinformation out there, mobile homes do fall under both acts, as they are considered dwellings. Unfortunately, there are some real estate gurus out there who are saying that mobile homes as personal property, meaning not attached to land and not considered real property, which is attached to land, don't fall under these acts and are exempt. So you, as a real estate investor, don't have to worry about the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank. This is completely wrong and untrue. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, if this is something that you want to do as a mobile home investor, offer the homes that you buy on seller financing, as Lonnie Scruggs, the godfather of mobile home investing, and my personal mentor did, then you'll have to study these laws extensively. And then you'll have to decide if you're going to get licensed yourself under the law, or if you want to choose to work with someone who is licensed to cut down on your own paperwork and have those parameters fall under someone else's license. And just pay a fee for the transaction when you do have homes that you offer on seller financing and sell to an end buyer who intends to live there and make it their primary residence. So it's really up to you which route you want to go. It's best to give it a lot of thought first and figure out the pros and the cons as it relates to you and your time before you make a decision. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank as it applies to mobile home investing, I do have a course coming out very soon about the subject and what mobile home investors can do in order to stay compliant with the law. As mentioned in my prior bonus episode, Yearly Review and Course Update, I've been working on this course for over a year now. I've researched it extensively, and I've put a lot of work into it. So, if this is something that you're interested in and want to get more information about the SAFE Act and Dodd-Frank, then go to www.adventuresinmobilehomes.com/SafeActDodd-Frank. All one word. Again, www.adventuresinmobilehomes.com/SafeActDodd-Frank to get more information and to be the first to hear when the course comes out. And there will be a special early bird discount for anyone who signs up when the course first comes out. So, what did you think? Did this episode help you as a mobile home investor? I hope so. If you've enjoyed the show and find value with it, please consider supporting the show. I've enjoyed this podcasting journey so far, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. Now, I'll include a link in the show notes on how you can support me if you'd like to check it out. For more information on this episode, check out the show notes where I link up some of the resources mentioned here. You can find it at www.adventuresinmobilehomes.com/32. And that is the number 32. Again, www.adventuresinmobilehomes.com/32. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with family and friends. And be sure to follow me and subscribe. If you have some time, I'd love to hear your feedback through a short Apple Podcast review. Until next time, this is Rachel Hernandez, aka Mobile Home Girl of the Adventures in Mobile Homes podcast, signing off. Thanks for tuning in.